3 years. I was president my second year in Rotary, thanks to being in a 15-member club. And I've learned a lot about Rotary in a short amount of time, but I still have a lot left to learn. And I learn most when I'm talking about Rotary with folks like you. Something that stuck with me a minute ago, Chuck, is when you said you've got one chair because you've only got one who will do it, and they just do it. What would you think about getting that chair, asking that chairperson to include a couple of more folks to help him?
Somebody can find the bodies, that would be wonderful.
You don't think that if that chair specifically went out and asked folks in your club if they would help, would they say no, do you think?
One of the committees I have is programs, and people are happy to introduce the program, but as far as trying to go out and find the program, that's a different story. Even though when I bring that program in, they say, oh, I know so-and-so, I know he's going to be a good program.
Well, speaking of programs, yes, Bill?
What, in some clubs that I'm familiar with, they rotate the program for a month.
We used to do that, and half the programs never showed up. Many times the person who was to introduce the program did not show up. I usually have at least 1 or 2 people a year that don't come. You know, they end up forgetting, or somebody gets sick or whatever. But the results have been much better. And also, when you're changing each month, you might have 3 or 4 months in a row where you've got a farmer up there, or there's too much of the basically the same thing.
Do any of your members give programs themselves?
Not very much. Most of the time we get people from outside. If someone is speaking, it's usually because they are president of a not-for-profit in town, Citizens in Schools or whatever. And, but usually we try to bring in new talent to expose our members to the community and get other folks know who's in Rotary and the kinds of things we're doing.
But speaking of getting your members to do programs, one type of program is a classification talk. And I think classification talks can be a good team-building mechanism because you learn more about your members, and it doesn't have to be just new members. We encourage our long-standing members to give classification talks because the newer members never heard what they said.
I'm glad you said long-standing instead of older.
I always say long-standing.
Mature.
But that's a way to build to have team building because they're learning more about you, and maybe you're connecting with something about them that they didn't know about you, and then you might learn about them because they come up to you afterwards and say, I didn't know about that. I do that too.
Well, from time to time, we'll go through several months where we have a different person get up each week and say, hi, I'm Bill, I sell insurance, and a few other odds and ends. And that way everybody gets to know each other better. But it seems like guys are kind of shy, A lot of them just don't like to get up and talk about themselves.
They don't like to talk about themselves?
Yeah.
Are you the program chair in your club?
Yes.
Okay. Would you say that everybody probably has sat down and talked about your club's strengths, your club's weaknesses, because these are all parts in team building and figuring out what are we together going to do as a team. So would you say, and would your club more importantly say that programs are strong, or your programs are strong and that people want to come?
Every time my president-elect, I guess he has come back from CATS, the comment is, I really had a great belly laugh because all these other president-elects were saying the worst thing in the world is trying to get a good program. And I never have to worry about that. We got programs scheduled 2 and 3 months out.
Okay, so you're the program chair.
I
You
have
take
6
care of
years
that?
of documentation
Great.
as to who came and what they did. So if I can get that to somebody before I die, then,
Great.
I'll have to do
Well, and this is
people.
a prime example of what we were talking about earlier when someone said, is it good to leave one person in a role for more than 1 year? And in an instance like this, when programs are, and extremely good programs are vital to the Rotary, The weekly meeting is the most important, one of the most important aspects of Rotary. So having a good program is a big part of
Oh,
that.
it's critical.
But I think sometimes it's good to have somebody that has a good program, because I know in my club, we had someone who on the radio station, and then he started working for a cable station, and his knowledge was, he'd call you up, do you believe in free speech? And you go, well, yeah, well, good, you got one here on Thursday afternoon. But the amount of speakers we had when he was the chair were just stupendous. I mean, they were tremendous. It's just unbelievable who we had. And now we've gone back to having, everybody says, all right, Kim, it's your week this week, it's next year's Shane's. And it's like, oh, God, who am I going to get? Who am I going to get? And then I hate we have all these nonprofits, because it's a giving program. They come in, give me the money, you know, and it's not straight off that, but it's like, well, we're trying to raise some money for our shelter, and we need some money because we just can't bring enough dogs in, and it's just, it just drives you nuts. But you have a good program which talks about some, you know, it's really entertaining. Everybody's like, oh, I love that program. But how many nonprofits do we have? Because you know why? It's easy. They're on that board. It's like, well, you know, Shane, when you come talk about fitness, Youthstone Fitness Club, you can come talk about Club Fitness, and it's like, it's great, but, you know, it's just a matter of, it's not a nonprofit. Now, if you did say the YMCA, it's like, okay, well, they're going to give something to YMCA, and they want their hand out, and they want
We
more money.
banned those.
I think you're right.
And
But I think sometimes, but I've heard some clubs come to an aspect that they only want to have nonprofits speak, say, once every other month, or a certain amount, because it's not right to the rest of the club. They're not here to have a handout every week. My club's an exception where we will do a friendship time, and we raise $200-300 a week, just passing the hat. So in that aspect, when they're there, it's like, ooh, look at the money, you know, and it's like, sometimes we don't give it to them, because it's not their prerogative, we always hand it to them.
And Friendship Time is a perfect segue to family, Family of Rotary. Does anybody in here have a Family of Rotary committee?
We do.
And again, Family of Rotary, just tell the others who don't have Family of Rotary what Family of Rotary does.
We have several different programs throughout the year where we invite, we have a couple that is just spouses or girlfriends, boyfriends, depending. And then we have some with, where we invite children, grandchildren, and cater really to them, like serve spaghetti and chicken fingers and have Santa Claus, you know, that type of thing, just to bring everybody together.
The people who participate in Family of Rotary, are those members that you think are going to stay in Rotary? Do you have any question as to the relationships that are created as a result of Family of Rotary?
They do stay because family, you know, is one of the reasons why some people leave, you know, family obligations, and by showing that we are interested in keeping their families part of the Rotary Club, I think it makes them, you know, it kind of keeps them a little bit closer to us.
I hate to stop you. You're all too easy on it. Wait, don't sit down. Kim, how did you do that?
How did I do it?
Yeah.
I felt very comfortable. I could have talked all day because I think that
Apparently they
you
can
may-
just talk all
I
day.
think that we may come up here with something we have in mind to say, but then the conversation turns in the way
It
they
does.
want to talk. And so our job is to expound on that. And they made it easy because, for instance, this was just segueing into the things that are important as relationships, and Family Rotary is a big part of that.
Yeah, it was very good, very, very good.
I had one suggestion, that when she was talking to that side of the table, her back was.
Right.
I noticed that,
Okay.
and when I was here, I
Well,
noticed my back was here.
That is
so.
the downside of this. And you'll learn, and you did this fairly well, you will learn when you're talking, you'll learn to start doing it.
Yeah.
And that's not natural. You typically don't do that, you know, or I don't. And, you know, I'd feel silly going around in my office and backing up like that, but that's what you have to do. But the reality of it is, I can't be over here talking to Jan, I cannot do this and get this one-on-one that I don't think is so important without turning my back on this.
Right, and I thought of that as soon as I got up here and talked to you, but then I
Yeah.
realized my back was to you.
Yeah, that's the drawback, but, okay, thank you.